So I'm still annoyed at this. I talked about it during halftime of the game and uploaded that, but like I'm still really, really annoyed at this. And it was the whole like Amazon thing. And it's been a few days later and we're still seeing like at the end of the game, I want to talk about it even more. I want to talk about it even more. It's one of those things where at the end of the game, when Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White embrace, do you want to know what they talked about? Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White getting into it. Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. So before this, so this is a clip from a page on TikTok. You can see it here. So let's go and take a listen here.
Why is this Prime broadcast just all about shitting on Caitlin Clark? I just tuned in and literally it's been 5 minutes of shitting on Caitlin Clark. Now they're literally trying to demonstrate how Caitlin Clark could play better defense as if she doesn't know how to play defense and she doesn't have a coach that knows how to teach her how to play defense.
And like they were like, oh yeah, if Caitlin does this, the help comes. No, they literally left her on an island intentionally. Like that was literally their go-to. It was a bad system. Like we know when it comes down to it that Caitlin Clark is at best, slightly above average, at worst, slightly below average defender. That's really what she is. She's not this unbelievable player. She's not this awful player. But I will say this. It's one of those things where even before this, right here, you've got they spent 3 or 4 minutes basically calling. They called Kate. They basically didn't say it, but they heavily implied Caitlin Clark is a diva. They heavily implied it. They heavily implied Caitlin Clark's hard coach, and they lightly implied. I'm not going to say heavily implied. They lightly implied Caitlin Clark's a bad teammate. We have to talk about different things that they're implying because obviously there's all these implications there are different levels to it all. There are different levels to it all, but they definitely lightly implied it. Again, I'm not going to say heavily implied, lightly implied. But they went out of their way, it seemed, to do that. But we've now got a situation where, look, you are supposed to be previewing the game. And did they mention Caitlin Clark, or did they mention, Kelsey Mitchell or Aaliyah Boston in the preview of this game? No. Did they mention Alicia Gray or Ryan Howard? I can't remember, but it wasn't in it wasn't in any productive context. They showed a hype tape of Angel Reese and then shit on Caitlin Clark for the rest of it. And then at halftime, when, by the way, Caitlin Clark was playing poor offensively, unbelievable on defense. Like, this was Caitlin Clark's best defensive game of her career by a mile. I think everyone will tell you that. Did they mention one word about her defense on the broadcast? No. And even when, like, and I get this, I don't take this as singling out the Indiana Fever, or as intentionally singling or targeting Caitlin Clark. But like when Caitlin Clark locked up Pow Pow, she's left open, and it was Caitlin Clark is left on an island. And then when Caitlin Clark has to stop, it's like suffocating defense by the Fever when there was zero help and she just locked up Tahina Pow Pow and swatted her. I'm like, I don't think that was malicious. But when when everything's taken into account, not one word was said about Caitlin Clark's defense at halftime. It was all talking about Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray in a positive way. Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray stunk it up. They both sucked. Every player on the Atlanta Dream sucked. You can give Angel a pass because she's a role player and she tried. She did what she's supposed to do. She played a bit of defense and she tried and got some boards. Like, if you believe Angel Reese is just a turbocharged role player, she had a game. She was fine. If you believe Angel Reese is star, then they all stunk it up for Atlanta. That being said, the Amazon Prime did not at any stage in their pregame, in their halftime. I don't think they had a post game because I think they went directly to another game. So I don't think there was a post game show. But even still, like, not one word said about Caitlin's improved defense on Prime. After you wasted an entire... It's a waste, by the way. It is a waste. And do you want to know what this shows me? That everyone talks about being like, oh, the Caitlin Clark's still the story. But we all know when it comes to the media, they all kind of do the same. There's the build you up stage and there's the tear you down stage. And one of the biggest problems now is that when it comes to people trying to defend Caitlin Clark, like, let's be very real with some of these people. Let's be very real. Like, whatever your opinion of them is, some of the people in mainstream media that are now currently heavily pro Caitlin Clark, or that have previously been on mainstream media, are people that don't have good reputations. So it has now become a thing where where being anti Caitlin Clark is the norm, and basically being pro Caitlin Clark is now, you can only be pro Caitlin Clark if you're this or this type of person. We're back in 2024 again. Like, we're back in 2024, except now it's socially acceptable. Now nobody gives a shit, which is hilarious because, like, because Stephanie White is respected and people are going after Stephanie White, which happens with every single coach in every single sport, by the way. If your team is underperforming, people go after the coach. It doesn't really matter, the coach, the GM, it doesn't really matter who you are, what your team is. If people think the Fever fans are bad with Stephanie White, oh, you better believe when that Philadelphia team comes in, if they embrace that team in Philly, oh my God, they lose. If they lose a game, their coach, they might be going for the coach. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, it just feels like, and by the way, this is on Prime. If the league had a problem with it, you better believe it would be a topic that they're being told not to talk about, because as much as these networks cover what they cover, you better believe, like, the league has some say in what goes on. The league absolutely has some say in it. And I don't mean they can control the narrative entirely, but, like, they have some ability to control it. Not entirely. And then you're seeing it here on the media. I have seen Andrea Carter today speak for 45 seconds about how great Olivia Miles is. And we have heard, again, we had nearly 10 minutes of roasting Caitlin Clark on a broadcast. So the media has, it's funny as well, the media that are wanting to say Caitlin Clark's terrible, you have the player. Paige Bueckers is not fun enough to watch play basketball. Paige Bueckers is really good. Look, I don't think she's better than Caitlin Clark, but I think the reason she's not better than Caitlin Clark is here. She's more skilled than Caitlin. Olivia Miles might be as skilled as Caitlin and is a mentality monster like Caitlin. Like, Caitlin Clark, for when she's, like, you could tell she walked into the, she walked in to the league believing she's the best player in the world, Caitlin. Olivia Miles does as well. Olivia Miles went into the league thinking this is going to be like college. And she's got a coach like Cheryl Reeve, who's letting her do what she wants. And it's one of those things now where you've seen the media. You can absolutely, you don't have to glaze Caitlin Clark 24/7. And the problem is, when it comes to the media, is Caitlin Clark is still what gets clicks. And because they don't want to glaze Caitlin Clark 24/7, and glazing Caitlin Clark does not get you clicks anymore, by the way. I'm just putting it out there. Caitlin was really good against Atlanta. If you want clicks, you chop up the footage and make it seem like Stephanie White has ruined Caitlin Clark because she shot 6 of 17 in a game where she was incredible other than shooting pretty badly, which is fine. It happens. You can have good shooting games. You can have bad shooting games where she was brilliant other than her shooting and still got plenty of shots, got plenty of looks in an ugly game where it's hard to play her free-flowing style against a team like Atlanta where they won. But if you want to attack Stephanie White and pretend she's part of some conspiracy and not, by the way, I don't know if Lynn Dunn's part of some conspiracy. I'm telling you, I'm 99% sure Steph White isn't. But there's a lot of things when it comes down to it with Steph White where it's like, the way to get clicks is by pretending Steph White's destroying Caitlin Clark and talking about sabotage and everything. And to be fair, like, I think there's, with the Lynn Dunn shit, I would, by the sounds of things, Lynn Dunn wants Caitlin gone, but Lynn Dunn's not employed by the Indiana Fever, or doesn't have any swing in the Indiana Fever organization. Look, this is one of those things where, I mean it. We're now at a stage where the media has, the character assassination of Caitlin Clark happened, and even though it stopped because the Indiana Fever won, there has been no retraction. There's been no retraction by anyone. It's very, very clear what they were trying to do. And it's very clear what the media is trying to do. I don't think these media people hate Caitlin Clark. Their job is to get clicks. Not too dissimilar to myself. Their job is to get clicks, and they are going to push whatever narrative they can. I'm lucky enough that I'm in a position where, look, I'm hovering on losing subscribers. But when it comes to these topics, I feel like I can give my actual opinion. Because, yes, if I just went and shit on Steph White, it would be a lot better. It would be a lot better for me. But I do feel like there's a lot more nuance in that argument. But when it comes to the media, you're being told by your bosses. And I assume from whether it's the higher-ups at ESPN or all these networks, the higher-ups in the WNBA, like, shitting on Caitlin Clark is what gets clicks. So that's what you're doing right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it, lads. I'll see you guys.